I understand, you're a real life astronaut, which is super cool, and you served as consultant on Space Cadet. So I'd love to hear more about that if you don't mind. I'm sure you've been explaining it all day, but whatever you'd like to share about how you were involved in the production, love to hear more.
Okay. Well, I mean, my introduction was through one of the NASA communications office people, Bert Ulrich. I don't know if you've met Bert before. He's an awesome human. And every now and then he'll throw something interesting and, fun out to me and introduce me to Space Cadet and to Liz and the team. And was happy to, have the opportunity to read the script early on and to have conversations with them about, the ideas they were having about what Rex and her crew and, the rest of the folks in the film would be experiencing. And, as I think as a having real, like you said, like real life experience and stuff, at first I mean, I remember getting too bogged down in the, okay, this would never happen. Okay, this, like that kind of stuff. And just thankful for the conversations that I had with them because it helped me kind of just sit back and say, okay, what is this film all about, right? It's not about the technical details of the space stuff. It's not about every, technical aspect of it being legit. It's about the people. And those, those are the space films I love the best anyway, like Galaxy Quest and, Rocket Man, where it's, you're not worried about the technical accuracy in it. You're looking at this interaction between the human beings that are having this experience. And what I really, really, just ultimately loved about it was that it reminded me of how real crews interact with each other. We have, um, I don't know, it's a human experience doing human spaceflight, and everything about it in one way or another is about lifting each other up, about figuring out how to, have a successful mission, but to do that in a way that is lifting everybody up. And that's what I felt in all of this, and why I was really happy in the end to be able to contribute in some way, because I think we need more films like this, quite honestly, that just kind of let us escape and imagine and, explore through the fun and maybe silliness of a story like this. And so yeah, I don't want to ramble too long. You probably have
No,
questions.
no, no, that's great. No, yeah, no, that makes sense. And yeah, I mean, yeah, the movie was wonderful and it's laugh out loud funny and yeah, that's interesting. I mean, it's the human interactions, through the training and watching the program directors, try to navigate, these animated trainees and all that. I mean, that's all great stuff. So I was curious,
Or try to be funny. It's
yeah,
like I look at that, like that the scene where the introduction scene, where they've come in as ass cans and you've got the director on it, and he's like, there's like scripted, purposeful, I will be funny here kind of stuff. I mean, that happens in real life, right? These us, I should say these, that, us technical geeky types don't always, throw the humor out there.
yeah,
Quite right. But it's
yeah.
good. Yeah.
Yeah. Was there a particular interaction or, pair of characters or a certain dynamic that really struck you based on your own experience that maybe reminded you like that really, I don't know, like struck a nerve, like, oh, that brought me back to a certain or yeah, like a certain character, whether it was, Emma or Tom Hopper, or Gabrielle or any one of them. If someone really stood out to you just on a sort of personal level, or if anything came to mind like that.
Well, I think there were like little anecdotal things that were kind of going on in my mind the whole time with all of the different interactions.
Yeah.
Um, I think there were, certainly because in a film like this, there's just like these, um, exaggerations of personalities, right? That brings out the humor in it, even though it might be obnoxious, in some ways, the way people behave. And I think there's this sense in the world that the astronaut community is ultra competitive with each other, right? Like that with it, like all the time there's this competitiveness going on,
Right.
and there really isn't. I mean, and so I kind of enjoyed how that played out in the film, where, a couple of the characters were really like gung ho in their quest for this selection. And in the end, I think they're humbled in a way. And what is brought out in them is this, bigger understanding of how they can really be a part of a crew and part of a team like this without behaving that way. And I think we do that in real life really well. And so kind of seeing those things play out was interesting to me.
Yeah.
More having to imagine them happen versus
Yeah.
having had them happen. But I love how even in the conflict of some of the things, there was all, and uplifting is what I will always, the words I will use in this whole time, lifting each other up, not just uplifting, ooh, wasn't it fun, but really how the characters saw needs in each other and helped raise each other up. And that, man, if you're not doing that as part of an astronaut crew, then you will not be successful, right? And so, yeah, I enjoyed that. And
Yeah.
yeah.
That's great. Cool. And you mentioned a couple throwback movies a couple minutes ago. I was curious, before Space Cadet came out, of course. I was curious, not to put you on the spot, but if certain past movies or TV shows come to mind in terms of like the best and worst, like NASA, when it comes to NASA or space exploration. If you have a favorite, whether it's in terms of accuracy or just your favorite in terms of, level of fun, even if it wasn't the most accurate. I don't know if you've ever like made a list in your head with your colleagues, like, okay, this was the most accurate, this was our least favorite, but it was the most accurate, or this was the most fun, but the least, I don't know if any sort of came.
I really don't have that list. I mean, I really like going to all space films. I really like to see them. I look forward to it. I was really looking forward to this one, like after having read the script and seeing how it came to life, knowing that I shouldn't expect technical accuracy in it, right? And I think that's okay, to know that. Um, but the human thing was good. And I tend to look at it kind of that way with films. Gravity's a good example.
Yeah.
The story kind of absurd. The science, I'm like, holy moly, come on, you could have gotten that right. I mean, it's a film where I felt like it should have been gotten right, right? So that bothers me. But then I watch it and I'm like, oh my gosh, the graphics are gorgeous. The way they moved, the way the light was shining on the side of the space station or the shuttle. Just, I remember being like taken, like transported back to that place.
Yeah.
While in parallel, I'm like, holy moly, could they not have gotten this, sciencey stuff right? I mean, I really enjoyed The Martian. I, haven't been to Mars, no one has yet, but this almost purposeful intent of building the science into it and seeing how good a film can be when that happens. I love that, and then having them be very transparent about, hey, we know this dust storm wouldn't happen this way. Hey, we know, cutting a hole in your glove and doing this thing, probably not the way to go. But, overall, really good. And then like the two films I mentioned, I mean, just to experience kind of this human interaction, I mean, I laugh out loud at some of the lines that would come out of some of the characters in these movies just because I could imagine, one of my friends in the astronaut office saying something like that, like, yep, that's astronauty.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's great. I remember I saw Rocket. I think I saw both Galaxy Quest and Rocket Man in theaters. So
Yeah, well, two really, yeah. I mean, I could throw either one of those, and I'm feeling the same way about Space Cadet, quite honestly. I've already watched it at least three times and encouraging other people to do so too, because I think there's going to be those lines in it that you don't see until you watch it the third time, or the
yeah.
interaction, or how much I really appreciated in the end the way they ended it with on the beach with these kids,
Oh yeah.
sharing the experience, like inspiring in that way was really, I really enjoyed that. And I kind of feel like I'm doing that, like a lot of my colleagues are doing that. We retire from the astronaut office and then we want to share it in as many ways as we possibly can.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
absolutely. Yeah, I love how it ended as well. Yeah, it's
yeah.
great. And I also wanted to, I know this movie, I don't know if you're familiar with Fly Me to the Moon, this new movie
Yep.
that just came out. I was curious if you had any thoughts on it. It's a rom-com about faking the moon landing. And I was curious if, when a movie with that kind of premise comes out, does that, like,
Well, of course you're wondering all the conspiracy theorists are gonna,
yeah,
have their day, but I haven't seen a lot of that as a result of it yet. And I'm hoping that there's a little twist or maybe something in it that, takes people away from that idea. I haven't seen it yet. I'm looking forward to it. Love the
oh,
characters that are in it, or the actors that are in it
oh
from
yeah.
so many other things already. So I'm hopeful they bring their skill to this as well. And a friend of mine was one of the costume designers in the film and has done a lot of
Okay.
other movie stuff too. So excited to see his work as well. And I think he gets a little cameo.
Oh, cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
so that doesn't, you don't, when you learn like the log line of that movie, you don't kind of like eye roll. You'll still like, if it interests you, despite the premise, like faking a moon landing, that doesn't immediately like be a turn off for, a
Now I
film.
want to see them all. I want to give them
Yeah,
all benefit of the doubt as well. I want
yeah,
to, evaluate them like we said about the others. What's going on with the people? What's going on with
right.
the science? What's going on, just storyline, everything. Um,
Yeah.
I think I'd take this kind of, like you said, rom-com um, humor, uh, like get good energy going kind of film over ones that are trying to bring the divisiveness to the space world. And there's too much of that going on, and I don't enjoy that at all.
Right.
I'll watch those films just to make my final assessment, but I definitely don't encourage people to watch them.
Right, of course. And I also wanted to ask, sort of on that note, I mean, again, not to put you on the spot, but like if like I was curious if, there's like a simple thing you could tell someone to sort of disprove the conspiracy theory that, we never went to the moon. Is there like a go-to thing that that you're able to tell someone like, well, think about it this way, blank, or
One I love that a dear friend of mine, Jay Honeycutt, who was uh, absolute hero of the space program. You can look him up. And I have on my desk a motto from him. He was my boss when I first started as a NASA engineer, and
oh,
his whole message to us was about believing in solutions to really challenging problems, like going in just with the belief, right? And this here's how we can, not why we can't mentality to overcome really challenging things like getting to the moon or just anything that we're doing in space or trying to bring back to Earth, to benefit life on Earth. And the way I love the way he responds to this, which is that, okay, we were barely smart enough to do it for real. We definitely weren't smart enough to fake it. And you think about it, it has nothing to do with what actually was going on the moon during those missions. Um, but it's just like the heart of it. It's like, you are right. And, think about it. How do you fake launches like that? How do you fake or keep the secret, across
yeah.
more than two people, about all this? It's, again, I think it gets to the human nature of it. It's like way too difficult to fake that kind of thing. And I
Yeah.
don't know what this film, Fly Me to the Moon, is going to show about doing that, but yeah, I don't even know if we could get away with it today.
Yeah. 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 I don't think so either.
Yeah,
And that's well said. I think that's great. So
yeah,
and I'm going to carry that too, because I
yeah,
unfortunately have a couple of friends who are, like to go down those rabbit holes. So
yeah. Well, they're probably going to fall off the edge of the planet sometime soon.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
there's that as
Exactly.
well.
Well, great. Well, thank you very much, Nicole. This was
You're
wonderful.
welcome. Well, thank you.
I
Thanks for your
appreciate.
patience too. I do
Oh yeah,
appreciate
no,
it.
it's all good. I appreciate you taking the time and
Yeah.
congratulations again. This movie was great.
Thanks. It was really fun, and I hope that's the way you present it. It's just this, lift each other up kind of story
Yeah.
using
Yeah. Yeah.
space as the backdrop. It's a good one.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. All right.
Yeah.
Well, thanks again. Take
All
care,
right.
man.
Thank you.